Sure. Okay. The bodies, how are they feeling?
I've got a little bit of a stiff hip that I'm still getting over because I had a bit of a rib fracture last year, and so that's healed, but the hip bit is still a bit painful, so I might be a little bit more patient with myself.
Yeah, just take it as you need.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute you all. Sweet. So we'll sort of, it'll be, hang on, engage brain, then speak. So yeah, the part of what I wanted to do today was just kind of, I think I said in the email, was to cultivate a little bit of focus. So that if you are working with a particular goal or you feel that you need that clarity, I know for me the brain fog is something that I really struggle with when I'm having been at home and with everything that's going on, sort of feeling like I haven't really got a clear path, like I'm just kind of like floating around. So hopefully, I don't know if it's the same for any of you guys, but looking to cultivate a little bit more focus. Like you were saying, Annie, with your knitting, that process of allowing all the noise to kind of fall away, which hopefully either give you some space or will kind of give you a sense of what is important or what it is that you want to do or that you need to look at, approach, whatever it is today. So we will do a bit of alternate nostril breathing to begin with, and then the practice itself is going to be fairly steady, a little bit of balance work, obvious reasons, help you focus on your balance, but nothing too crazy. We will kind of work a little bit into strength, a bit of kind of focus on core and shoulders, nothing scary, but just to kind of get the body moving again after New Year. And if, like me, you've not really done anything for 2 weeks, then we'll just wake things up. Cool. So with the alternate nostril breathing, we're just going to kind of get straight in. In terms of how you position your hands, so I'm using my right hand. I'm going to have my second and my third finger resting on the center of my forehead, which can be helpful just as a kind of a resting point, and also help you connect to your sense of intuition and your sense of self. So that, and then I'm using my thumb to close off my right nostril, and I'm using my ring finger to close off my left nostril. Thumb for the right nostril, ring finger for the left. If your arm starts to ache, you kind of prop on your left hand. This hand position, although it's traditional, isn't the most important thing. So if you want to use, index finger and thumb, whichever hand you want, absolutely fine. So yeah, but we'll be working with that. To begin with, in fact, just take a moment to close your eyes and just pay attention to your breath. So we're going to kind of drop straight in. If your body's feeling a bit kind of fidgety, as always, if you need a moment to just kind of eke out some of the kinks, then do that. Just bringing your attention to your breath as it moves in and out through the nose, or maybe you're choosing to take some sighs out through the mouth. And if there's space, if you want to maybe think of slightly slowing the breath down, you can do. Then when you're ready, starting to get your hand in position, and I'll guide you through the first few rounds, and then I'm going to let you go on your own. We'll go for about 2 minutes. So getting your hand in position, keep breathing through both nostrils, in and out, and we'll just see if we can synchronize a little bit. I know it might not be the correct pace for you. In and out. Breathing in, closing your right nostril, so using the thumb, breathing out through the left. Breathe in through the left. Change, close left, open right, and exhale through the right nostril. Inhale right. Change, so close right, open left, and exhale. Again, breathing in through the left. Change, breathing out right. Breathing in right. Breathing out, change, breathing out left. Breathing in left. Change, breathing out right. Last time with me, breathing in right. Change, breathing out left. And keep that going on your own, so you're always changing at the top after the in-breath. A rhythm that works for you. Changing after the in-breath. If possible, trying to make sure you're keeping the head still, not just the hands or the fingers that are moving. And that the head isn't kind of leaning or reaching forward for the hand. So I'm trying to keep the spine fairly neutral. Try not to rush, so depending on where you are in that cycle, next time you breathe out, next time you exhale through the left side, you'll release your hand, keep your eyes closed, breathing in and out with both nostrils open. You're observing that passage of air. You might be aware of one side of the nose feeling a little more open than the other. Maybe you're more tuned into the temperature or the feel of that breath. And still with your eyes closed, keeping your breath nice and calm, nice and comfortable. Just shifting your attention away from your breathing into the physical sensations in your body. Bring in any kind of movements that might feel good for you right now. We are going to remain sitting for a little while longer. If you want to sort of change up how you're sitting, go ahead and do that. We're going to get into the shoulders. So whenever you're ready, no rush, you're going to interlace the hands behind you and bring the knuckles into the center of your low back. From there, just encouraging the shoulders to relax and then squeezing the elbows in towards one another. Maybe the heels of the hands start to close. Make sure the jaw stays soft. You might prefer to almost think of pressing the knuckles forwards towards the spine to create a little bit of an arc, a bit of a high release or sort of back bend. You might prefer to do the opposite, to keep the abdominals drawing down. Doesn't matter. But keep the hands interlaced behind you, but you're going to shift the knuckles over to the left side of your waist. Hands resting on the left side of the waist, again, shoulders soft, and start to squeeze left elbow towards the back of the room. This time, see if you can just slightly neutralize the low back. Make sure the left shoulder isn't creeping up to the ear. If you want to move the neck a little bit, you can do so. And then when you're ready, switching to the other side. So keeping the hands, the fingers interlaced, switching to the right side of the waist. Take a moment to kind of settle, get comfortable, soften right shoulder, squeeze right elbow back. Lightly drawing abdominals in. Keeping the hands interlaced, but releasing the knuckles to the floor behind your tailbone, if you like, and then starting to roll the shoulders back and lift the hands up towards the ceiling. Again, for slightly more intensity, heels of the hands stay together. For a little bit less, keeping the hands open or keeping the heels of the hands away. Depending on how you're sitting, just notice if there's any kind of tightness gathering in the hips or the quads. You're welcome to change up your seat. As you release the hands, taking into prayer overhead. And then bending at the elbows. In fact, you can either from here kind of interlace the hands or the thumbs, work the biceps back behind the ears. Don't worry about pulling the shoulders down. If you're doing that, let the shoulders rise. Or hands to prayer, bending at the elbows, pressing head back into forearms, whatever you prefer. Something to kind of open up more that front line of the shoulders or the armpits. And as you release the arms from there, have a little moment to circle the shoulders, kind of shake it out. We're going to take eagle arms with the right elbow on top. So crossing up nice and high, it'll be the left hand that's coming back towards the face to find your wrap. If palm to palm isn't happening, back of hands meeting is okay. As always, if you want to bring a bit of movement in with those arms or with the neck, with any part of the body to kind of help this to feel a little bit more free, that's fine. Again, taking your time to switch sides for the last one. Try to keep that breath fairly calm, or perhaps just observing, does this create any kind of change in your breath? As you're breathing pretty consistent so far. Trying to soften around the abdomen perhaps, or allow the low back to become a little more neutral so we're not pulling forwards. Releasing the arms, making your way when you're ready into a child's pose. Taking as much time as you need. Any little bits of movement, swaying of the hips, You want to add some ripples, little lifts and releases of the spine. Again, making it work for you, for your body, for your energy levels. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time moving from a sort of child's pose. If your knees are wide, bring them back a little bit more in line with your hips. But moving from a sort of a gentle child's pose forwards into some form of back bend. So taking your time to bring the hips forward, make sure the glutes are engaged. You want to keep the neck nice and long. The arms are working to some degree. Maybe the elbows are bent. If this is really not feeling good, to move in this way, to come from your child's pose into your back bend. You're welcome to work from your belly with some kind of cobra lifts or whatever back bend you want to take, just warming up the spine, making sure that we've got that strength, that support switching on. So I've already talked about the glutes, the abdominals, the arms as well. So keeping the neck long as the hips come forward, the chest is lifting up. The shoulders are sort of drawing back. But whether the arms are bent or straight, there's still that sense of kind of pushing the floor away. And you can be moving at any kind of speed. Next time you shift back, let's take it up into a downward facing dog. As always, taking your time. Easing your way in with any bits of movement, any particular focus on your breath, on parts of the body. And then slowly, slowly, so again, waking up the shoulders as you walk the hands back towards the feet. Pushing the floor away with each hand, a little bit maybe of a rocking or a shifting of the weight from one hand to another. To take a ragdoll forward fold at the back of your mat. Any variation you like with the arms, whether it's holding opposite elbows, hands to the floor, getting into another chest opener, interlacing the hands behind you, whatever you want. And that sense of releasing the spine, allowing tension or stress maybe to kind of flow down through the spine and be released out of the crown of the head. Before making your way up to standing, bending the knees, pushing the floor away, finding that support from the thighs, the abdomen, the glutes to rise. When you get up there, it doesn't matter which leg you're with first, but you're just going to pick up one foot, you'll be circling wrists and ankle. Changing direction. And thinking about that drishti, that visual focus. Switching sides and keep the wrists going again. And is your gaze quite direct? Is it able to be quite soft? Changing direction with your circles. Little shake out. And then you're going to cross your right leg behind your left. Try and cross up nice and high towards the top of the thighs. You might find that it helps to kind of pop up onto the ball or lift the heel of your left foot. Excuse me, work into that cross. And then see if you can squeeze, hug the thighs in towards one another. Maybe the hips slightly move forwards. The right arm is coming up and over into your side bend. The left arm, wherever you want, on your hip, across the body. You can interlace the hands. You want to sort of reach, slightly pull the right arm a little further over. Still a sense of being grounded through the feet, even if that front heel is lifted. Still hugging the inner thighs together, hips squeezing over to the right, right arm reaching over to the left. Just pay attention to what's happening in your feet. And then switching sides, releasing. Again, take a bit of time on that setup if you need it to kind of get that cross. Find something that feels stable and sort of active. And then again, squeezing in the thighs, left arm comes up and over. Right arm wherever you want. A bit of attention to the feet. Maybe thinking of just slightly softening the inner edge, so the big toe edge of your left foot, that's the foot that's at the back, down towards the floor. And again, releasing when you're ready. Little shake out, standing towards the back of your mat, taking the arms up towards the ceiling. So grounding down through the heels, having the shoulder blades up, reaching the fingertips up. Again, you can interlace the hands if you want to. And from there, melting it down into your forward fold, walking the hands towards the top of the mat to take you into a high plank position. Just pause in that high plank. Arms nice and strong. That slight sense of tucking the tailbone under. Keeping the neck long, neck nice and free, jaw relaxed. Keep breathing. 3, 2, and then slowly lowering down onto your belly any way you like, whether it's a ripple, whether it's a reverse press, on the knees, on the toes. But once you're onto your back, take the hands a little bit wider, bit of a cobra, and then rolling, looking back over one shoulder, and then the other. So make sure your legs are active. Your back bend can be as high or as low as you want. Trying to maintain a little sense of space at the low back. Then coming back to center, release the chest down. If it feels good for you, if it feels appropriate, you're going to come up into an upward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths there before moving back into a down dog. Of course, you can substitute your up dog for anything else, maybe a cobra again, or a little locust. Remember, in up dog, thighs are away from the mat. Back into your down dog. When you're ready, get a bit of time to settle in there, to find your downward facing dog. Before then, lifting right leg. Keep both arms nice and firm. Bringing some attention into the support, perhaps from the abdominals. Maybe you're aware of what's happening at the pelvis. Is it rolling open? Are you keeping it more closed? It doesn't matter, one is not better or worse than the other. When you're ready, stepping the right foot towards the top of your mat. You're going to drop the back knee down, sweep the arms up to the ceiling, and maybe slightly back behind you if you want to bring in a little bit of a high release, bit of a back bend. As you release, the hands are going to sweep forwards, maybe fingertips brush the mat as they reach back behind you, so sort of reaching, leaning forwards over that right thigh. If possible, not leaning onto right thigh, hovering just on the inside. Spine nice and long, neck nice and long. Bit of power in the legs, squeeze those outer hips in just a touch. The arms are going to sweep up once again. This time the right arm is going to wrap around the back of the body, and it might come to the waist or to the outside of your hip or your left thigh, and the left arm is going to sort of sweep, circle, spiral over, so you're somewhere between a twist and a side bend. Perhaps your eye line is looking just slightly towards the back of your mat. And as you release that spiral, your hands are going to frame-ish the top left corner of your mat. And we're going to work into a lizard variation. So if you want to open up your lunge, make it wider, make it longer, then go ahead and do that. But then, if possible, stay on the tips of the fingers so that we're not kind of dumping weight into the arms as you maybe creep the fingertips, the arms a little further away from you. So again, not just dumping, collapsing through the hips, not, if possible, dumping all the weight through the palm of the hand, but keeping up on the fingertips. I mean, the tips of the fingers might be working pretty hard, I know mine are. Great. Walking the hands back in towards you. Hands coming to the top of the mat, stepping back to a downward facing dog. Moving through a vinyasa of your choosing. And once you're back in that down dog, it will be the left leg that's lifting. And again, as always, you've got a bit of time there to pay attention to it. Speak to the different parts of the body. Maybe shoulders, hands, right leg, right thigh. Does that left leg feel long? Are you kind of aware of that, the extension of that lifted left leg? Before stepping the left foot forwards, dropping your back knee, sweeping the arms up, maybe a little high release, little back bend. Maybe it's a massive back bend. I think I'm talking to you from a place of knowing my body feels really stiff. And again, sweeping the arms forwards, down and back as you reach forwards over that front left leg. Again, instead of leaning onto the thigh, pulling the low ribs in, body just slightly perhaps on the inside of the left leg. Feeling the strength from the left foot and the left leg again as you sweep the arms up. This time, left arm is going to wrap around the back of the body and your right arm is going to be the one to sweep you over into that spiral. Hopefully you'll feel the glutes engaging, squeezing just a little bit to A, help your balance, and B, just stabilize pelvis, support the low back. And as you release from that spiral, hands are going to be moving towards the top right corner of your mat. Again, feel free to open up to adjust your lunge. Trying to stay on the tips of the fingers as you walk the arms a little further away, perhaps on the diagonal. And that balance between sort of releasing, softening, and supporting. And that balance will be different for all of us. Some of us will benefit more from it being a little more passive. Others of us will benefit more from it being a bit more switched on, a bit more active. Before again, walking the hands back in, making your way back into a high plank, and moving through your chosen form of vinyasa. Once you're done, you're going to shift it forwards to a high plank once again. Little pause, making sure tailbone is shooting back towards the heels, not up towards the ceiling. Neck is nice and long as you breathe in. As you breathe out, drawing right knee in towards your chest, tailbone curling under, arms pushing away the floor even stronger. Breathing in back to that plank, tailbone pointing to the heels. And exhale, left knee. Tucking the tailbone under, strong in the arms, hips don't rise. Inhale to plank. Exhale, right knee. Inhale, plank. Exhale, left knee. Inhale, plank. Exhale, put the knees down. Child's pose or a kneeling, sitting up. Little bit of respite. For the wrists, if nothing else. When you're ready, taking it back into a down dog, lifting your right leg. Going to take that same kind of lunging hip sequence, if you like, but we're going to take it up higher. So from that right leg being lifted, stepping it towards the top of your mat. Staying on the ball of the back foot as you sweep the arms high, high lunge, maybe adding in a little high release or a little back bend. Back leg can be bent or straight as long as it's strong. I don't mind too much. Sweeping the arms forwards, down and back. Maybe bending a little bit deeper into the right knee. Again, try not to hang out in the front of the body. Draw the lower ribs in. Feel the glutes squeeze. Both legs nice and strong. Sweeping the arms up once again. Taking the right arm around the back of the body. The left arm is going to take you into that spiral. As you release, plant your back heel in and down, warrior two-ish. Interlace the hands behind you, just slightly turning hips and shoulders towards the top of the mat, moving into humble warrior. With bending the right knee a little bit deeper. That's it, nice. Relaxing the back of the neck if you can. Hands coming up and overhead. Releasing the hands, taking them up towards the ceiling once again. Push right leg to straight, turn the toes to the long edge of your mat and take it into a wide-legged forward fold. There might be a bit of adjusting. In your wide-legged forward fold again, I'm handing it over to you. You could throw in, you could take the legs wider, take them narrower, throw in some squats, some lunges. You could peel weight into the shoulders, into the arms. Take it into a little headstand if you wanted to. We're not going to spend too much longer here though. Great, before walking hands around to the back of the mat, you're going to come into a lunge with the left foot forwards. Peel the fingertips up towards the ceiling, high lunge, and then come to balance on your left leg. So you're going to pull that back right knee in towards the chest, catch hold, give it a squeeze. So interlacing hands perhaps in the front of the right shin, and as you squeeze that right knee up towards chest and shoulder, see if you can power down more through the left leg, pull the tummy back. You're going to carry that right knee out toward the side, maybe only about 45 degrees. The left arm maybe reaching out from left shoulder or coming to your hip. From here, keep that right leg where it is. Take the hands back alongside the body like you're wearing a cape. Start to shift around into a warrior three. So I'm really using that bend in my standing left leg. Once my pelvis is sort of in position, if you like, from a warrior three, then I'm going to start to straighten my legs. Before stepping right foot alongside left, top of the mat, little chair pose. Good, all the way to standing, circle the arms up and back, take it into a forward fold at the back of your mat, shifting back into a down dog, and through your vinyasa of choice. Lifting your left leg onto your back in your down dog. Don't rush if you're still moving. From that three-legged dog, stepping the left foot forwards, rising up into your high lunge, staying on the ball of the back foot as the fingertips sweep up. Maybe again, adding in a little bit of a back bend, a little bit of a high release. Again, whatever your back leg is doing, whether it's bent, whether it's stretched, making sure that leg is firm, you can feel that push into the back right foot. Then the arms sweep forwards, down and back behind you, again like you're wearing a cape, slightly squeezing the shoulder blades in towards each other. Maybe getting a little bit lower on the left leg, pulling the tummy in away from left thigh, outer hips, squeeze in, or maybe you prefer to think of inner thighs, squeezing in together. Stay strong in the front left leg as the fingertips sweep high once again. Left arm wraps around the back of your body and the right arm circles, sweeps you into that kind of spiral, bit of a side bend, bit of a twist. Definitely glute squeezing. As you release from your spiral, back heel drops in and down. We're working into humble warrior. So interlacing the hands behind the back. Maybe adjusting the feet, taking your stance a little bit wider if that helps. Chest and hips move forwards or turn forwards as you take that bow. As you bow, can you bend your left knee a little bit deeper? Is that possible? Great. Well done, guys. Keep breathing. Releasing the hands, taking them up overhead, pushing left leg to straight, turning the toes to the long edge of your mat, heel toe the feet in a little bit closer so you can take it down into your goddess pose. So turning the toes out, sitting down into your legs, and again, maybe you're pausing here. If you want to kind of use the hands, bit of support, maybe helping to squeeze the knees back or get into your shoulders. Before coming up to standing, turning toes to the top of your mat. So you're going to have the right leg forwards now as you take it back into a high lunge, just as a kind of, to give you some momentum to get onto your balance, bringing the left leg, left knee in towards your chest. So fixing your gaze, nice and calm, interlace the hands, front of left shins. As you squeeze the left knee up, push down firmer through the right foot, right leg, pull the tummy in. Make sure your shoulders aren't scrunching up to your ears. Shoulders might be retracting, squeezing back. Arms might be engaged, but neck is always long, always free. Starting to carry the left knee out towards the side, and maybe that spare right arm reaches out from right shoulder. Keep your standing legs strong. Keep that tummy pulling in, so not arching into the low back. Keep left leg lifted, arms reach back behind you a la cape, as you then start to transition into your warrior three. Coming to chair pose, top of the mat. All the way to standing, circle the arms back, release the arms, give the legs a shake. So we're going to take a chair pose twist, but again, I'm going to give you options. So of course, kind of more traditionally, more usually, feet together, hands in prayer, elbow to outer thigh. If that feels like something that you want to avoid for whatever reason, then the other option would be to have feet about hip width apart. They can still be together. So if we're going, hang on. If we're going to twist, we're going to twist to our left first. So option 1, feet together, knees bent, hands prayer, right elbow outside of left thigh. Your alternative is from there to bring the left hand to the low back, fingertips pointing down, and the right hand maybe to the outside of the right knee or right thigh, to wherever you prefer. So finding that twist, maybe talking a little bit to the pelvis and to the low back. Again, could you keep your neck long before coming back to standing and just switching sides. You might want to take the same variation on the second side, you might want to switch it up, your choice. But either left elbow coming to outside of right thigh, or right hand to low back, left hand to outside of right leg, wherever it ends up. Particularly with that second variation, you've got a little bit more leverage perhaps from the arms, but making sure that you're still kind of supporting the low back, so not just forcing the spine round. Again, checking in with pelvis, spine, maybe a little hug of the glutes. Coming back to standing. Oh, shaking everything out. So we're going to move, again, from the top, well, they say from the top of your mat, that is irrelevant. We're going to move again through that little kind of balancing sequence, picking up one knee, carrying it out to the side, taking it into a warrior 3, but then from your warrior 3 this time we're going to add in an opening out into a half moon. Assuming this feels okay in your hips, the main thing I want you to think about in that particular part of the transition, because I think the rest of it you're fine, from that warrior 3, is as you roll the hips open, as you pull, for example, then as I pull my left hip back, I want to think of simultaneously powering up my standing leg even more and lengthening the spine even more. So I'm trying to create as much stability around the pelvis, and I like this idea of as much space in the hips, as much space in the spine, or as much length in the spine as possible, so it doesn't get kind of clunky. We're not kind of sitting into hips. More expansion, which I'm hopefully, I feel like I might have, can't even talk. Maybe that cleared everything up. I don't know. Let's start standing on your left leg, because that's what we did our first side initially. Option 1, pick up the right knee, squeeze it in towards your chest, use the hands to help you. Option 2, no hands. They're going to be free the whole time. As you squeeze the right knee up, power down more through the standing leg, pull the tummy in. Start to carry your right knee out towards the side, keep breathing. And keep checking for that power in the standing leg. And then from here into your warrior 3. So power can come from bent legs just as easily as it can come from straight, so take your pick. You can decide how you work that transition. Assuming that you're feeling steady, you're going to start to open it out, expand into your half moon. So as you roll the right hip back, maybe push down a little firmer through the left foot, maybe the crown of the head reaches a little further forward. Left fingertips might be on the floor, they might be hovering, your choice. Great, releasing 2 feet down to the mat and just coming up to standing. Same thing on the other side. It's entirely up to you whether you're using 2 hands, whether you're using the arms or whether you're not, even. Taking your time to find your setup so you feel calm, steady, focused before you start even that first balance. Again, neck is nice and long, hands or no hands, strong standing leg, carrying left knee out to the side, getting stronger, maybe getting taller, securing the low back, so putting the abdominals in, moving round into your warrior 3. And anytime that you shift your gaze, shift your eye line, allow it to happen slowly, gradually. Find that visual anchor point before you move on. Opening into your half moon. As left hip rolls back, spine gets longer, right leg gets stronger. And you can hover. You can plant fingertips. Again, releasing. Coming up. Standing, good stuff. If you need to kind of shake anything out, or maybe stretch out the calves, take a moment to do that. And then you're just going to come down to a seat. So when you're ready, coming down to a seat any way you want. If you want to take, you know, a sun salutation, a full vinyasa, or if you want to take a squat down, you can do that. You're going to end up sitting with the knees bent, the feet planted. So you're going to move between a boat pose and a reverse tabletop. Hooray! So coming into a little boat pose first. And then you can use the hands if you want to. Putting the feet down, bringing the hands back behind you. Now fingertips tucked under towards your bum will give you a bit more of that opening through the chest. If that's too much, take the fingertips out to the side. But either way, roll the shoulders back before you lift the hips. Awesome. Bringing the hips down. Lifting up into your little boat pose. Setting everything down. Again, roll the shoulders back. Lift the hips. We're going to start to move with breath. So take an out breath to set the hips down. An in breath to lift arms and legs, boat pose. Exhale to release. Inhale, lift hips. Exhale to release. Again, inhale to lift. Nice, slow, calm breath. Give yourself plenty of time. Exhale to release. Inhale, lift the hips. Of course, if you want more challenge, you can work with straight legs. Exhale to release. Inhale, lifting boat pose. Exhale, straight legs to the floor. Inhale, reverse plank. Exhale, release. Maybe keeping the legs straight as you lift into your boat pose. Terrible idea. Exhale to release. Inhale, lift. I feel like I've got faster. 3 more rounds. So 1 boat pose and 1 tabletop is 1 round. 3 more rounds in your own time. Awesome. Once you've done your 3 rounds, have a moment. And then you're going to slightly bend the knees, tuck your left leg underneath, and you're going to kind of roll forwards, press the hips forwards and adjust yourself into a lunge. That makes sense? Right knee comes underneath, right foot comes underneath, shifting forwards, opening up into a lunge, dropping the back knee down. Option 1, quad stretch, so right arm coming back, catching left foot. You might prefer to go left hand to left foot, or alternatively, if that catch isn't really happening today, shorten your lunge, left knee underneath the hips and just tuck the tailbone under, and that'll give you a bit more into the quad as well. So you can choose with a bind or without a bind. Great, plant the hand at the top of the mat, tuck your left toes under, lift the knee. You're going to come into a 3-legged dog, sweep the right leg back, and then take your right leg forwards again for pigeon pose. Body upright, folding forwards, catching the back foot, whatever you want. Just make sure that that right knee is towards the right side of your mat. It's not pointing forwards or not over towards the left. And to come out of it, lifting the body if you're in a fold, dropping onto the right hip, sweep the back left leg around, and you should be able, as we did on the first side, to just kind of roll, step forwards, readjust into your lunge. Again, we're getting into the quad first, either catching back foot or coming into a short lunge with the back knee stacked underneath the hips and tucking the tailbone with the body upright. As you release, taking the left foot back into a three-legged dog. And then bringing left foot forwards for pigeon pose. Again, lifting the body up, rolling onto the left side of the hip. And so as you swing the right leg towards the top of the mat, you're also going to swing the left leg towards the back and turn to face the long edge. If that made any sense. But you don't really have to face the long edge. Depends on what space you have. But coming in to a straddle. Okay. So if you feel like you're falling backwards, either elevating the hips or using the hands to help kind of press the body forwards. So if the hands are behind you, you're using them to try and get up onto your tailbone. And maybe you stay there. If you can lift the hands at that point without the tailbone tucking under and kind of falling backwards, you're welcome to stay or start to take it into a bit of a forward fold. I really like shifting right to left as I move in. Or taking your time to lift the body up and out. Taking it into a side bend over whichever leg. I've gone left, over my left side first with the right arm reaching. And then over to the other side. Oy, 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 oy. Or coming up, taking your time. You'll bring the legs together and lie down onto your back. You're not quite there yet, but you're really close. Taking twist of your choosing. Twist of your choosing. So any wraps, any variations with the legs, and you're in control of which side you go to first. You're going to spend probably best part of 60 seconds, maybe more like 45. Just trying to settle in, relax, release into that twist. before taking your time to switch it over. We're going to be there for a little while, so make sure that it's working on your second side. And can that be your priority over sort of doing exactly the same thing? That makes sense. Releasing that second side, any last little bits and bobs that you might want to get you ready for Shavasana. When you're ready to find your Shavasana, see if you can move into that state of surrender, of doing nothing. Noticing where your attention goes. Then coming back. That state of stillness, of non-doing. The mind likes to be in control. Generally speaking, the mind wants us to do something. It gives us a signal, gives us a distraction, and we do it straight away. Which is exactly what it's trying to do here, to get back in control. To get us to do its bidding, to do something. And here we're practicing our independence, if you like. We're not at the mercy of our minds, not a slave to our thoughts. Taking your time when you're ready to move your way out of your Shavasana. Do, of course, feel free to stay there a bit longer if you wish, if you've got the time. Otherwise, easing your way gradually back up to a seat. Taking a moment, find that seat. again, iron out any little kind of kinks in the body, maybe to just notice your state of mind, your experience in this moment. I was talking briefly then about this kind of this separation, this independence from our mind and from our thoughts. And I am going to assume that this is kind of a universal experience, but having had a bit of time off from work or from whatever it is that you usually do, coming back with that imposter syndrome of like, oh my God, I've completely forgotten how to do any of this. It's awful. I can't remember any of it. What am I doing? So that being able to separate and be like, no, I still have this. I still know what I'm doing. I'm still a grown up. I haven't lost all my brain cells over that break. Anyway, just waffling now. Thanks for joining me. It's so nice to see you all. I hope you have a lovely weekend, whatever that means. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.